Hare Krishna. Our mind often has hellish desires come up within us. And those hellish desires are such that they can wreck and ruin our lives. So, hell is not just a geographical area, it is also a psychological state. The Bhagavad Gita tells that there are three gates to hell. In 16.21, it says, Trividham narkasyedam dwaram nashanam Kamah krodhastasa lobhastasmade tatrayam tyajet. In 16.21, it states that there are three gates to hell. These are lust, anger, and greed. Then what this means is also that when we repeatedly entertain and indulge in lusty desires, greedy desires, angry, angry actions, when we indulge in lust, anger, greed, the result of this is that they become stronger and stronger. So our mind pops up these drives and we give in to them. And often, even if we don't act on them, actually our mind becomes like hell. We desire destruction on others, we desire exploitation of others, we desire dark, despicable things, given into lust, anger, and greed. So now, uh, how if we keep giving into those desires, just like somebody can get trapped in hell and not come out. So similarly, something similar can happen to us when we repeatedly entertain such thoughts. One day we will engage in a terrible action, and once we engage in the terrible action, that might be the path of no return. That might be the path to destruction. We might be trapped for life. In fact, when people get addicted, often what happens is they have entered into a dungeon from which they can't come out. And when we recognize how dangerous this is, that the thought is the ancestor to the deed. What the mind proposes initially, it imposes eventually. And therefore, it's best that we recognize its proposals initially itself. So Krishna says that the mind, if it is not controlled, it can be our worst enemy. Bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat. So if we don't control our mind, it remains our enemy. And just as the enemy wants to cause us great suffering, the mind creates hellish desires within us, then makes us do hellish actions, and then binds us to those hellish behaviors, and thus sends us to hell. So, knowing that the mind is so dangerous, what we can do is guard ourselves vigilantly. That what can begin as a casual indulgence can become a catastrophic disaster eventually. And by knowing that what we think about we can eventually do, we can try to guard our thoughts. Of course, the best way to guard our thoughts is not focusing on what we shouldn't think about, but by focusing on what is truly worthwhile to think about. If we turn towards spirituality, turn toward the supreme lord Krishna and focus on him, then thinking about him, contemplating on him can enable us to move forward in our journey toward Krishna, and that can transform our mind from our enemy to our friend. Then as our mind becomes attached to Krishna, then we won't go to hell with the mind, but we will go to Krishna with the mind, and ultimately we will go to Krishna, to his abode, to never return to this world of distress and death. Thank you. Hare Krishna.